So with that said, I'd like to introduce you guys to Corianne Egan Jenna McLaughlin from iCiMS. They're going to be educating us on customer advocacy.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? It's kind of a bummer that it's raining. You're in my home turf here, and I was hoping to give you a bright, shiny day so you could maybe go hang out outside and have a drink. But hey, who knows what's going to happen after this? It might clear up. But we're really, really excited to be here. We are a local company, so to have the opportunity to present in our backyard is just simply fantastic. So we're excited to kick off. What if I told you all that by focusing on the customer experience, you could tap into a free marketing engine, one that already exists within your business today, one that will not only help you acquire new customers, but retain the ones that you already have? Sounds like an exciting proposition, right? Do you think it's believable? Yes? No? Well, that's exactly what we're here to talk to you about today. My name's Jenna McLaughlin, and I'm the Associate Director of Customer Success, and with me I have Corianne Egan, our Advocacy Marketing Associate. We are from a local company called iCiMS. We're located right here in Homedale, New Jersey. What we do, we're a SaaS-based business, and we make what's called applicant tracking software. So we sell our software to mid-sized businesses and enterprise businesses to help them attract, recruit, and onboard their new hires to their organization to be able to get those people up and running quickly. And we are thrilled to share with you our story of creating a really, really strong advocacy program. How we connected those on the front lines within my organization with Corey's business to produce that pure, powerful advocacy. Now, it's important to note we are a B2B business, but the formula and what we're talking about today is 100% applicable within B2C as well. So before we dive in, just a quick overview of our agenda. Corey's going to kick us off by talking about what advocacy marketing really is. I'm going to come back and talk to you about customer success and why this type of organization is the right one to partner with to get your program started. We're also going to share some awesome byproducts of focusing on the experience and building an advocacy program. And last but not least, we're going to give you a formula so that you can go back to your organizations on Monday and help get them started. So without further ado, welcome Corey.
All right, well, thank you guys. So like Jenna said, I'm going to give you a little bit of the what before, because advocacy marketing is a newer discipline in marketing. You've been hearing advocacy for about the last 2 years, but to be honest, most people that I come in contact with, their organizations don't have a specific advocacy marketing role. It's spread across the organization. There's a couple people doing a couple different things, but they all are under the same umbrella. So you can see the fancy definition up here, but really what advocacy marketing is about is making your customers happy and then capitalizing on that happiness, telling their success story and getting more customers in the door. So it's just like that wheel says. You make them happy, you work within your organization to work with a customer success organization or to work with somebody on your technical support, your account management. Once they're happy, that's where advocacy marketing comes in. We build relationships and then we get their success stories out, and there's a lot of different mediums I'll go into in a moment. And then after that, once they bring in new customers, the entire wheel starts again. Now, advocacy marketing is more authentic than some of the more traditional marketing that we talked about earlier today and some of the stuff that I'm sure everybody's doing. We still have a full marketing engine, but advocacy marketing is relationship-based. So I spend a lot of time, and to be honest, again, I mentioned not a lot of organizations have an advocacy function. I'm it for an 800-person organization. So I spend a lot of time making relationships with our customers. I spend a lot of time getting them to trust us, and that comes through in the messaging we're putting out to the world. So the only other thing I did want to touch on is that advocacy marketing also does involve incentivizing your customers in some times. We don't do it all the time. Sometimes it's easy for those B2C people to just offer a discount code or to offer a month free or some kind of free like gift card or something like that. We try not to. We want customers telling their authentic experience, but it's an option and it's a way to get people in the door. So, why does advocacy matter? This first piece, you guys all should know. 80% of people research before they buy anything. Think about the last time you made a purchase over $50. Did you look at reviews? Raise your hand if you looked at reviews. Keep your hands up if you talk to somebody in your group of friends about what you're buying. Proves the point, right? So I have one thing that you'll see throughout this presentation that sticks with me is most recently, I just bought a brand new hair dryer. And I bought it because half the people on my Instagram feed were using it. And it's huge and it's clunky, and I was like, I got it. I'm like, there's no way this is gonna work, and it worked. And I started advocating for that brand. Now I'm testing stuff for them. They sent me some freebies, but I bought it because people told me to. People who have the same hair type as me said, oh, you know, your hair won't be frizzy at the end of the day, you'll see it. It made me think about it. It made me realize that, you know, I know so-and-so has the same type of hair as me and she looks great. So I'm gonna buy this hair dryer. When people are researching, if they hear voices that are like theirs, it doesn't have to always be their friends, but it could be their colleagues. We do a lot of colleague marketing, or it could be people just in the industry, researchers, analysts, Instagram influencers, anybody in if you're operating a smaller business, if they're in your town, talking about how they used or went to your restaurant or used your product, that's all there. And when they see it, it makes them more likely to buy. Now, in marketing, we all love analytics. Referral leads, they convert quicker, and they oftentimes have a frictionless sales cycle. So, for example, if we know that Mark referred Jen to our business, Jen can ask Mark a lot of her questions. Jen doesn't have to come to us and say, how did this specific piece of your technology work? She can ask Mark if he used it, if he's seen success. When you're doing advocacy right, that shouldn't be an issue. You should be able to rely on your customers to answer some questions. Then when they get into the sales cycle, they have less questions and they trust you a bit more. Especially if, you know, for example, we try to match people up with the people who sold the original deal. So again, if we're using Mark and Jen, whoever sold Mark will get Jen. So that voice continues to be the same. And they cost little to nothing. You can't, in a room full of marketers, I cannot underline that enough. They cost little to nothing. If you're giving a gift card to everybody to refer a friend and it's a $10 gift card, think about your cost per lead and what you're really paying for it. That's so cheap. Now, the one other thing I did want to mention, I said not everybody has an advocacy function. Not everybody has it under one umbrella, but a lot of people have it staggered throughout their business. I'm sure some of you are doing review sites, refer a friend, referral leads, that kind of stuff. If you're not doing it all in marketing, the key is to get your marketing organization to lead the strategy behind it. It's important because marketing is tied directly to the funnel. So we know what converts, we know what works best, and we know how to best utilize those voices. So the best part is if you have 5 different people doing pieces of this, get them all in one room and have somebody in marketing lead the conversation. So I talked a lot about the first 2 pieces of this. These are really the byproducts that everybody knows. Prospect references and referrals. Customers on the line all the time. We want to know if your technology is easy to use in the food and beverage space, so I get them a food and beverage client. This is the stuff that is bread and butter. But where else can you use them? For example, we do case studies, 1-page infographic-like white papers. That's actually not what they are. They're 1 page and they have a lot of graphics on them. They have the face of the person who's talking. They talk about how that company uses our product to solve a problem. We don't necessarily have them say, I love iCiMS and this is how I used it. It's, I had this issue, I use this technology, and now that issue is no longer a problem for me. We bring them to almost every event. We take customers to almost all of our lunches, whether there's prospects there, analysts, anybody across the board, just to have a customer there, and we set 0 expectations. They do not have to speak to anybody. They don't have to promote our brand. They just get free lunch and they get to talk about what they're doing. It's pretty nice for them, but it gives us some credibility that these people have been wanting to be in the same room. We do a lot of joint webinars, so we do at least 1 every quarter with some of our bigger brands, and then we try to pepper people in to some of our smaller webinars. And then we also do speaking engagements just like this. So we go all, Jenna mentioned we're recruiting software, so we go all HR conferences, and we stand right next to our big brands. And again, we are not saying iCiMS is the way to go. This is what we want our customers to say. We're saying, what are the challenges you're seeing in the industry, and why are you confident that you can tackle them now? And inherently, it gets everybody in the room thinking, well, they're using the software, that's why they're confident. And then research opportunities, and Jen will give you a little more information here in a couple minutes, but Our engineering groups, that we're a technology company, we have a lot of people testing things, we have to do new releases all the time. Our advocates help us with researching what's working, new features, new functionality, stuff like that. They test things for us. That's something that typically you'd have to pay for. You'd have to get a whole marketing study done. That's gonna cost you a lot of money. When you have a built-in group of advocates, you don't have to pay for anything. Now, I always get caught up on this quote. I will not read the entire thing. But when you start looking at advocacy marketing, if you start Googling and just trying to learn a little more, Gainsight and a company called Influitive are going to be two companies that I recommend looking into. And Nick Mehta is like the be-all, end-all when it comes to varying customer success and advocacy. But the point here is that how many times have you had a bad experience and the first thing you do is go home and post about it? I am not ashamed to say, I know some people are like, not me, not me. I'm not afraid to say that I'm a Yelper. And I go on Google Guides, yeah, see? A fellow Yelper. You gotta tell people. I don't want anybody to have a bad dinner. So definitely, like, you guys know, it's so much easier. I think there's that old quote that the lie gets full way around the world before the truth even gets a chance to get its shoes on. Your bad experiences are going to be out there. If you have people who are talking about your software, your product in a good light, that just balances and scales. It makes it a lot easier for you guys to prove your point. Now, this all starts with having happy customers. And it doesn't always have to be the traditional customer like we're talking about with technology. These could be people who are renting in your real estate business. This could be people who are buying your product online or using a hashtag. Anything that you're trying to accomplish, the people who are doing it and helping you with it, those are your customers. And making them happy is key. So I'm going to hand this over to Jenna. Jenna runs our customer success organization, and she's going to talk a little bit about what they do, what it is, and why it's important to me.
Thanks, Corey. So, Corey talked a lot about this, but the key for us at iCiMS was really getting the customer experience right. We could not go about building a strong advocacy program without starting there. So, the first thing that Corey's organization did when they were really thinking about building an advocacy program, they were trying to find the right partners across the business. Now, we preach at iCiMS that every single person affects that customer experience, and we truly believe that. There's many, many client-facing organizations. But most recently, as many SaaS businesses have done, we've built a really strong customer service organization, and within that, we've focused on customer success. And I'm going to talk to you about what customer success is, because it may be popping up in different clients that you work with, or within your own business itself, and why advocacy is such a huge byproduct of what we do every day. This picture here, I want to touch on it a bit. This is part of my customer success organization. This picture was taken last October, hence our flannel day that we do. But our team has more than doubled in size since that time. And if that can show you the investment that SaaS-based businesses are having in the customer experience, I just think it's so, so telling. We are investing to make sure that every experience we have at the end of the day allows us to produce those advocates. So what is customer success? It's relatively new. It's only been around for about 6 or 7 years more formally, maybe a little bit longer than that by name, but it's really defined itself in the past few years more specifically. Customer success, by definition, is a focused group within typically a SaaS-based business that focuses on helping customers achieve their desired outcomes with a particular product or purchase that they made. We are not technical support, so we don't sit on the reactionary side of the house waiting for those incoming tickets and phone calls to happen. We're not sales, we're not out there pushing new product and trying to grow the footprint of a particular account, but we work with both of those awesome organizations. We sit in the middle of all of that, truly trying to provide proactive experiences for our customers that at the end of the day are there to delight them. So how do we get started on building this journey? And how do we get started on really figuring out how to enhance that customer experience? The first thing that we focused on, and we partnered with our marketing organization on this as well, was building out a customer journey map. How many of you have worked on some form of building out a customer journey map? Awesome. So I think that's going to be something that we see come up much, much more frequently, but understanding your customer's buying journey and post-buying journey with your product, no matter what it is extremely invaluable. This allowed us to map particular touch points across the customer experience where we could have really, really strong influence. So we started to institute a few different things. Different QBRs and particular presentations that we would provide value back to the customer. Different consultative conversations where we would start to dive in and understand how they're using our product. Another proactive conversation that is really, really critical to us is getting customers to understand our new releases, what's coming within our product, how they can adapt it, and making sure that they're adopting it the moment it's released. So those experiences have really changed the game for our organization. The other thing that we did when we focused on the customer journey is we started to map through understanding our personas. So we spent a lot of time, again, with our marketing team, understanding the complex buyer system that exists within our business today. We found, particularly on the enterprise side, that upwards of 30 to 35 people are involved in the buying decision of buying our product. We need to know the ins and outs of every single one of those individuals, what makes them tick, what they're into, and all of that good stuff, so we can provide tailored experiences that really hit home with them. So we spent a lot of time doing that. What we did on the flip side is we started to map through the personas that maintain our software within our business. So the people day in and day out that would be responsible for maintaining iCiMS. And we did the same thing. We spent time understanding them, what made them tick. And that's what's really allowed us on the experience side to hit home on the things that they were expecting from us. From there, we knew it was critical to define our mission within our organization. Yes, we know our mission at the end of the day is to retain our customers, but how are we going to do that? How are we going to make that more tangible for our CSMs, our staff, to be able to provide those really strong experiences? First and foremost, we started focusing on adoption monitoring. This is truly, truly one of the most critical functions for our business. When you buy any sort of software, if the end users at the end of the day are not using it, you will fail and you will lose that customer. So we started to work with our R&D, we call it our labs organization, to start to pull unique key metrics out of our system to be able to track usage data across our customers. What happened after that was the CSMs are now able to proactively intervene themselves if they see that adoption slipping across our customer base. We then started to focus on customer health. One of the biggest things when you're trying to provide a really strong experience to your customers, you have to figure out what could lead to potential churn. I know it's a negative subject to focus on, but there's positive too. So we built a really cool algorithmic health score. We just released it about 6 months ago, so we're still doing a lot of learning from it. But we back tested a lot of data that we can now use to help predict potential churn. What that does on the flip side, and much more positively, if a customer is extremely healthy and we're getting a green health score, they are primed and ready for advocacy. So that shows us that they're the right lead to be feeding over to Corey's organization to build into our advocacy program. And last but certainly not least, our final pillar, I touched on this at the beginning, realizing and achieving outcomes. If you do not know why your customers are buying your product and hit that home in every single interaction, you will lose them as a customer. But if you do that really well, you're going to cultivate really, really strong experiences for them. And this focus and this particular journey that we've been on as a customer success organization has led to a lot of outputs. We've increased our retention, we've increased the awesome experiences that our customers are having with us, but most importantly to this room today, it's really, really led to pure, powerful advocacy. We now have people across our customer base, both on the small business side and some of our biggest strategic customers, who are willing to stand up with us and evangelize our product. And that is priceless. It is priceless for us. We were at a conference last year, one of the HR tech conferences, to stand up with Microsoft, one of our biggest customers, and have them do all of the talking for us. That sold the crowd more than myself or Corey ever could. So how do we get started doing this? How do we get started building this engine and working with Corey's organization to make this truly into a program. We started organically. We literally just started to meet weekly, daily, as much as we needed to with our marketing partners to just drum up bright ideas. So very simply put, Corey would come to us and say, hey, the marketing organization is looking to produce these particular stories focused within this industry. Do you know any of your customers that would be ready and willing to stand up and have that conversation? And all of the CSMs would raise their hand and say, yes, we have 5 customers, we just went through this experience with them, and they're ready to go. They're ready to stand up and evangelize our product. And vice versa. We started to get good at it in CSM, and we started to just bring proactive examples over to Corey's organization. So we just started to surface different leads and say, we had these really great experiences in the past few weeks. We've helped these customers achieve these outcomes. Let's document it so that we can start to use it for our future customer base. Now we're at the point in our journey where we want to start to systematize this. So it is a metric of a CSM organization to actually track how many leads they're producing for the marketing team. So we're working right now to build this within our CRM tool so we are able to track the number of leads that we're surfacing. Then Corey's organization can track how many of those truly convert into advocates and which type of programs are they in. And ultimately, we can see the ARR that we're bringing in by producing these advocates. So you don't have to start there. It's took us over a year to really get the engine running. But this is an ultimate output that you want to get to prove to your executive team that all that hard work that you're putting in every single day is leading to true outcomes for your business. So before I hand it over to Corey, I want to talk about one of my other favorite subjects when I think about the customer experience and advocacy programs. And that's the byproducts of these programs. So if you're questioning, is this right for you? Is this right for your organization? Or am I really going to be able to convince anyone in my business that this is important? These things may help you because there's other byproducts that other people within your business can benefit from because of the journey that you're on. First and foremost, for our customer service departments, if you have advocates that believe in you and believe in your experience, you're ultimately going to see a decrease in the number of escalations that you may have. Let's face it, no matter what business you're in, there's going to be things that go wrong. There's things that go wrong all the time for us. But when you have someone that truly cares about you and your product, their sense of urgency goes down. They're willing to work with you through some of those stumbles that your business might have. The other byproduct for a metric that many service organizations track is you're going to see more highly increased NPS and other CSAT scores. This is something that most companies publish outwardly to their prospects or their new business. So when you are focusing on the experience, these people are willing to stand up and put it in a survey as well. And fun fact, ours actually wrapped today. So Corey was the one running that, so she's here today, but she's worked really hard over the past few weeks getting our NPS off the ground, so kudos to you, Corey. Next up for our product teams. Corey mentioned this before, but I'll hit it home even more. When you have this pool of people who have signed up to be in your advocacy program, you can use them for pretty much anything. First, they'll beta test your products and they'll give you tons of feedback before you get it out to the entire population. This has been extremely invaluable for us to be able to tap into these folks, get feedback early on, understand what worked and didn't work before we rolled it out to the masses. And again, there's no cost associated with that because these people are ready and willing to do it. And the other cool thing on the flip side is they feel more closely tied to your product and they feel even stronger about your product when you're asking them to do those things. And last but certainly not least, for the broader marketing organization, you can also use this pool of people to get feedback on the different campaigns that you may have up and coming. So I know all of the time before we roll things out, we'll tap into some of our best advocates. We'll ask them if our messaging is resonating. Is it hitting home with them? Do they think it will hit home with their peers? Again, before we release it to the masses. And the other thing that I love to talk about here is this concept of maintain advocacy throughout their career. Within the business that we have, we see people that we work with at some of our biggest customers move on to other roles all of the time. They typically take similar roles in other businesses that they head to, And if they've had amazing experiences with your organization, they're going to carry that advocacy throughout their career. So we see it all the time in our sales engine. We see people coming to us and they're saying, hey, I worked with you and your organization at this other business. I'm here now. I'm in the talent department, and I'm convincing them that iCiMS is the right product to go with. That is extremely priceless. It brings a tear to my eye that we've been able to create those types of experiences that make people want to come back for more. So there's tons of benefits, tons of byproducts by focusing on the experience and building this program. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Corey. She's going to show you some of the outputs of our programs, and we're actually going to show you an example and then wrap us up here.
All right. So I don't want to trip. First and foremost, I told Jenna my number one thing today was not falling. We're all about metrics. Marketing people are all about metrics. I want to touch on something that Jenna just mentioned. I think there's a misconception here that when you do things that are brand related, sometimes you can't tie them back to your real marketing engine. With advocacy marketing, quantifying it is tough. It relies a lot on asking people if they sent something, because they don't, salespeople, they don't track it very well. Even to the, there you go, big laugh. You have a salesperson who's nodding, I know it. But we can give them email templates with tags on it and landing pages and all kinds of fun stuff, and then they'll just download the freaking case study and send it out. So we rely on a lot of feedback from our sales organization. But we do have some things that we can tie back to revenue, and it has brought, for me, our CFO comes right to my front door and says, hey, this was a great thing for us. This brand awareness is starting to show in our ARR. It's good for us. So we've produced about 30 new case studies and video testimonials. I'll show you one of our video testimonials here. I also want to note, I know a lot of you guys are smaller businesses. We have one video person. So this isn't something that takes a lot of time. If you have a plan in mind, we go out to events that we're already at and just bring our video person there. We go out to dinners. We might have a client on site for a meeting with Jenna's team, and we'll pull them out of one of their lunch meetings and put them on camera. You can do this for not a lot of money. We don't have a budget, believe it or not. I have to beg, borrow, and steal. So if our events team is hosting a lunch, I'm like, can I bring someone and you can pay for it? Thank you. So, 30 new case studies. 200 plus references last year. So we had 200 of our customers getting on the phone with prospects and talking about our business. That's one of the clear lines to ARR. 40% of our deals last year that we brought in were touched by an advocate. That's $3.4 million in renewing revenue. And then conference appearances, media opportunities, analyst engagements across the board. We've had no shortage. Once we started showing people that it worked, everyone in the business wanted to use a customer. We've had to learn to say no. Some of it's not sustainable. Some of it isn't a good use of our advocates. Jenna mentioned Microsoft. We have some of these big clients that everybody wants an Uber, and Microsoft, and Amazon. And I have to be like, what about Dorney Park? And it's not as sexy, But you have to start telling your customers stories and getting everybody invested in them internally, and then once they do start to branch out a little more from that very siloed, our biggest customers conversation, you should be able to sustain yourself a little more. So before I press play on this video, I just want to tee it up real quick. This is a social version of one of our video testimonials. I chose it because it's a little shorter. You can see how, it's not, the production value isn't like MGM quality. We're not talking about a movie here. This is somebody on camera saying how they feel about our software. So if you could press play on the video.
I did not want to be stuck with an applicant tracking system that was outdated in a couple of years because the company wasn't willing to make the investment in that space. Knowing that iCiMS is solely focused in this arena made it a number one choice for us. We actually have Workday as our HRIS tool. So one of the key drivers for us was having a system that could integrate well with our Workday platform. iCiMS was able to deliver and say, we've done it. So one of the things that we did was made it really simple to apply. From the beginning, when we started, we were filling positions in about 80 days. We've cut that in half. That's how to stay ahead of the curve.
So that is Kim. She is one of my favorite advocates. She is not from a sexy brand, Amtrust Financial Solutions. But we had to pitch her to our internal marketing team, and I said, please, 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 I'm bringing her on site. Let's get her in front of the camera. That's our headquarters. That's a piece of grass in the middle of a giant mall-like building, and a mic just like this one, and it was me behind the camera asking her questions. Now, I did not script anything. I didn't ask her to mention anything really big here. Sorry. I didn't ask her to mention our name. I didn't ask her to mention our #1 competitor's name, and she did it all by herself. And yes, absolutely what she did, I must have smiled. I was like, yes, this is gold. She's saying what we need her to say. But it's authentic because we created for her a moment that mattered. We brought her to an event. We got her in front of our C-suite. We had her voice heard. And then we took her outside and said, tell us how you feel about iCiMS. Tell us about some of the things you're doing. Tell us about some of your business challenges. And she went on camera and did it. Now, Kim just left her company, brought us right back into her new position. She's already sold iCiMS for us a couple times. But again, it's not, the sexiest brand name, but if you saw that and you were looking for talent acquisition software and you also worked with our competitor Workday, you'd say, that seemed really authentic. That seemed like she knew what she was talking about. Even more so, at the end you saw the CTA where it was like click to view more of the video. We have a 3-minute video of her talking about all kinds of really cool stuff that's really detail focused. And it made you kind of want to learn more. We've seen a lot of conversion on this video. So, I gave you guys all a handy dandy tip sheet. It's got check boxes, so you can check each one off as you go along. But I do want to talk about how to get started in advocacy. The key to all of this is going to be being scrappy. You have to be scrappy. You have to start to kind of give your own leg up and doing this within your business. I mentioned before, smaller businesses, even businesses that you might not think you have true customers, you can do this. It's not too hard. It doesn't cost too much money, and try to start experimenting. So the first step is identifying who your best and happiest customers are. Jenna mentioned about persona mapping, and I have to tell you, a lot of advocacy is psychological. I sometimes feel like I need a couch next to my desk for these people to start talking. You have a lot of different people who are going to be coming to you and who are your customers. Some of them might not like to speak on camera. Some of them might not like to speak in a conference. Some of them might not know the technology piece. They might just know that they have a really good experience with our business or your business. You should know them. You should start to understand what makes them tick. We have a fun little niche of clients who love to hear themselves speak. So I know that I don't even have to rely on the customer success organization so much there, because I know those people who are posting on LinkedIn every other day and who are talking about trends, who repeat a lot of my content. Those people I can just go to and say, hey, you're a great voice in our industry. We'd love to get you heard. Start learning more about these people. Start with the people who talk to your customers the most. So Jenna's team is by far my most successful partnership. Her team talks to customers all the time. It's their job every day. I work with our sales department. I work with our technical support department, our implementation department. I work with probably 50 people across our business that come in and give me leads all the time and have things in my ear. Again, not all of them turn into a great video like Kim's, but if I start to build up a map, I have a very long Excel spreadsheet full of happy customers where I can say, okay, this one might fit here, this one might fit there. Start to learn who they are and use the experts within your business to get those people. The second piece is building a program that focuses on incentivizing them for those advocacy activities. So what we did was we talked about, I just mentioned a lot about psychology. I know that one of the biggest things that our customers want to do is network with each other. A lot of talent acquisition people, a lot of recruiters are trying to solve the same problem even if they're in different industries, even if they have different business sizes. We know they want to talk to each other. We know they want to troubleshoot how they're using iCiMS, give each other fun workarounds. So we use networking a lot of time as an incentive. You go to this event, there's going to be a ton of people just like you to talk to. Or we know those people who want to hear themselves speak, so we give them some social capital. We also know there's a lot of people that love points, perks, gift cards, etc. So we have a formal advocates program. We call it our iCare Advocates program. We have about 400 people in it, and they earn points as they do things for us. So we do it a little differently with the formal program. So you can earn points from going to a review site, putting a review in of iCiMS. Doesn't matter what it says, as long as it's verified, it's up there, it's a real review, they send us a screenshot of it back, they get 50 points. They get on the phone with a prospect, they get 200 points. At the end of the year, we offer them to either donate their points or they can cash them in for Christmas gifts for their family. So iPads, fun stuff like that. I'm so lucky that everybody donates them because I think my budget would be just out of the window. We have a lot of nice people in our program, but we do have people that just live to know their points total. You need to also decide what matters to your business. Is it leads and ops and sales, or is there a component that's a little more off book? Does it matter to you to have your advocates bring in a friend with them the next time they have dinner at your restaurant? Does it matter to you to have people who live in your apartment complex tell their friends to live in their apartment complex and start up networking or fund socials at your real estate company? What does it matter to you? What is the end result you want? And then figure out how you can inject customers into it. And then the last piece is kind of Advocacy 2.0. Partner with people. Start a formal partnership. I know Jenna's team and I, when she said we met every day, we actually just scaled back to bi-weekly, and I feel like I haven't seen them in a month. We meet all the time. Now, we know in marketing we all get a little greedy. So I'm always in there like, oh, I need Doherty Park to talk about this type of business for seasonal hiring, or I need Applebee's to talk about this or that. I have a lot of asks, but also letting them participate has been really key. So form the relationships inside your business, then start to form the relationships out of your business. The people who are doing your advocacy for you should know you by name. Again, I'm the only person who does this. Some companies have 2 to 3 people, but not a lot of people do this. So if they know your name, when my email comes up, they'll be more likely to open it. They know they had a great time last time they did something for us. And also think about surrounding your advocacy opportunities. Yes, there are a lot more dollar and cents rules, like a review site or going on to, we have a text software, we have people text out reviews. There's a lot of things that you can do that are very transactional, but if you have them coming to an event, make it a great event. Give them some swag while they're there, and then they leave and they say, not only was that a good dinner, I had a great conversation, but I also had a really good time, and I would do it again the next time that iCiMS comes to town. So, that tip sheet is full of ideas, but really what the main takeaway here is just to set the meeting up. Go to your customer success organization. Go to somebody who talks to your customers all the time. If you're working in a traditional brick and mortar store, go to the people who are at your cashier desk. Ask them what customers have said about you. Start to learn a little bit more, and then try one thing. My biggest thing is do not go back and say, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Try one thing, see how it works, see how easy it was, see how hard it was to implement at your business, and then try another thing. And then as you get quicker, you'll be able to get bigger in size as well. So set the meeting up first. Go back on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and set the meeting up with the people that matter in your business. So we're going to open for questions now. So Jenna and I both are here if you guys have any questions. All right.
Hi. As far as distribution goes for all the content that you get from your customer advocates, what strategy does that look like for you? Put in your social, email?
We do multi-channel. So I will say the one thing about customer content that is a little frustrating for the people who are as type A as me is that you're on the customer's schedule. So if you're doing a video testimonial or a case study, if you need approval from them, it takes a couple minutes. But we plan campaigns around almost everything. We use case studies to kind of augment our communication. So if we did a great ebook campaign, we'll put a case study in there, the second or third email. But email, social media, we put a lot of this on our corporate site. There's always, if you look now that you've heard this, you'll go to any website, there's always like an our customers section. Put it in there. We feed a lot of content back into there. But it's really multi-channel. We haven't had something that we've tried that our marketing engine has been like, oh, not here, not here. Everybody kind of wants the customer voice once you get it.
And I'll just add to that, being on the customer side, we use it in our presentations as well. So a little bit more organically, we will literally throw one of these videos, a testimonial, we'll bring it with us to prospect deals. And if we're in a situation where we're trying to retain a customer, we'll bring this collateral with us so that we can let others speak for us versus being the ones doing all the talking and selling.
Thank you.
No problem, Alex.
I think you gotta wait for a mic.
So I'm just curious, are there any other resources that you can point to for an organization that would be in a position to kind of launch a program like this that doesn't really have any history or track record of, or any success with gauging customer response and retaining clients?
Yeah, I definitely, I'll repeat the two that I mentioned. Gainsight is one of them. They're a customer success organization that works a lot with advocacy. They have an advocacy track within their business. They do great thought leadership. But Influitive is really the company you want to go to. They've been doing it for years. They actually have a software where you can put your advocates into it, track it with all these different points and stuff. We haven't even bought the software. To be honest, we're at 400 advocates and still working pretty well with it, but they have some great thought leadership. There's also a book by Mark Organ, who runs Influitive, called The Messenger is a Message. It's a great book. It's short, it's a good read, but it's a good marketing read. I have it on my desk.
Let the Facebook guy get up,
but that's a
talk
really
for
good book
like
to
2
start with.
minutes, and then
And
shut
come to
up.
us. We're happy to help. We're happy to
I'll let you
chat
know.
about
Come
it.
over.
Yeah, us specifically, not
Yeah.
just customer service. I'm happy to help. I started in customer marketing and it morphed into this. We had a couple customers that did a couple extra things for us. But again, not a lot of people do this, so whenever you can find somebody who does, it's a plus. Anything else?
Hi, I have a question. Are you guys tasking your Salesforce with making some sort of notation within Salesforce so that you know that this is a candidate for advocacy?
Yep, so that's what Jenna mentioned before. We're actually building it right now in Salesforce where her organization can input a lead to me, and then I track it. We also have the health score that Jenna mentioned. Let her go into that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think we've started more organically, as I said. Corey mentioned spreadsheets and all of that good stuff. That's where we started. But we are building a component into Salesforce that tracks the leads, and then on Corey's side, she can track which campaigns they were potentially associated with to see the ultimate output in terms of new business, ARR, things like that. But we do have this health score that we build. It's a new thing in many businesses, but we're using that health score as an indicator to figure out who's primed for advocacy as well. So without going too much into detail, the health score essentially produces, is this customer red, yellow, green, based on a number of factors. And our teams are tasked with pulling those green customers up, vetting through them, and putting them through that lead program to be able to track it. So we're still working through how to kind of codify all of that right now, but I do think that's the next kind of more sophisticated step that we're working towards.
We also, just when you're talking about getting scrappy, we put it in the notes section. Every time, literally like a task. We have customer events all across the country, and one thing that we try to do is get 2 of the customers at every event to give us a mini testimonial at the beginning. Just how they're using iCiMS. It's a very quick conversation. Our CCO talks about it real quick on a keynote slide. And at the end, I take a screenshot of that, I put it in the chatter on Salesforce, and I say, hey, to the account manager and the CSM, your customer came here, they did this, and they had this effect on it. What's cool is that they're responding a lot better to that too. So now they go into their next conversation with their customer and they say, hey, I saw you went to, I was gonna say Chick-fil-A because that's one of our customers, but they didn't go to Chick-fil-A. But you went to a really nice steak dinner the other night with our chief customer officer, Adam. How did that go? I heard great feedback and blah, blah, but just, you can do it really simply that way in chatter or in a task or in an activity.
So you guys talked about how you acquire that first conversation and get people into your advocacy program. Earlier in this conference, they talked about nano influencers and stuff like that. We see on Instagram, there's brand ambassadors that brands are building, and there's this ongoing cult-like group where there's an entire separate strategy and messaging that goes to these brand ambassadors or advocates, as you guys are referencing them here. Do you guys on the advocacy team and the customers, success team, have a post strategy where, yes, you got them to do this amazing video, but when you do a new launch, is there specific targeted messaging to say you are a premium, person, and do you have like a particular strategy for like
That's
sending
next
referrals?
step. Yeah, that's 2.0 for us. I think right now we have a pretty big program. But right now for us, what we're trying to work on is getting them to share things. So I mentioned Influitive. I'm definitely not here to sell their software. They do it pretty well for themselves. But Influitive has an option where you have all your happiest customers in this software, and say you have a new release. You can just put the tagline in there of the release. You could put whatever you want in a tweet or in an Instagram post, and they can just click a button and it goes to their social stuff, and it's all tracked in Influitive. They get points automatically, but yeah, we pre-populate it. We've tried to start, we have like some hashtags that they use. We also at events will say, here's what we'd love you to tweet about, like take a picture. We give them a scavenger hunt at some of our customer events. Take a picture with your seatmate, or go talk to our CCO and take a picture with him and post it and tag iCiMS, iCare, advocates, or whatever. But yeah, we're starting to do that. I think one thing I would just let you know is if you're doing this on an advocacy side, you want them to keep their own voice. I do feel like again, I'm very type A. I've tried to kind of put words in people's mouth, and 20 to 25% of the time, they might push back on me and be like, hey, I would never say that. So can I just say it this way? And it's always fine. So now I've just said, hey, here's one of the tweets we wrote out for you, but feel free to edit it, or something like that.
Very cool, thank you.
All right, well, thank you
Thanks,
guys all for your
everybody.
questions.